Welcome to the fourth and final video in our series on labor positions. This series explores ways to help baby move through the pelvis more easily. And this can reduce the risk of needing a C-section, as well as reducing the risk of extensive tearing and increasing your chance of having the birth experience you're hoping for. I'm Jeanette, the nurse educator at Parkside OB-GYN. For this last lesson, Dr. Romeo and I are going to discuss transitional labor and how to move baby through your pelvis and into your arms. Let's get started. When you're in transitional labor, things are even more intense as your baby has descended lower into the pelvis, approaching the pelvic outlet. But what else is going on physically? Once your baby's head has really engaged in your pelvis, there's no flipping. So at this point, your baby is obviously still head down. And during the stage, your cervix is going to finish dilating and it's going to get to 100% effacement or thin. This is why you may hear your team refer to you as being complete. So, transitional labor is actually defined by the cervix being dilated 8 to 10 centimeters. So, that is the official stage that you're in, transitional labor. And your baby's head has descended beyond zero station. It has passed the ischial spines and is further down the birth canal. So, we need to help the lower parts of the pelvis open further. Usually, your water has broken by this point, and your contractions are pretty intense and getting harder and harder for you to be comfortable. It's important to find a position that's comfortable for you during this stage because soon enough, you're going to be feeling the urge to push. And during transitional labor, you're going to be using your body to help your baby finish the journey through the pelvis. Proper positioning of your legs is going to help you do this because it will cause your femurs to flex your pelvis, potentially widening the pelvic outlet by up to 3 centimeters. That's phenomenal, right? Let's see what Dr. Romeo has to say about this. She's also going to do some demonstrations for some beneficial birthing positions.
So once the baby has moved through the mid-pelvis down into the pelvic outlet, this is going to be the time that you are fully dilated and complete. Your nurses and doctors are going to tell you that it's time to push. We want to open this pelvic outlet here. So we want this bottom part to open up, and we do that by having our knees close together and our ankles wide. You may have heard or seen people pushing on their back in stirrups. In this position, that actually closes down the pelvic outlet. So my recommendation is pushing with your knees close together and your ankles wide. I also want to explain how the tailbone, so the sacrum and the coccyx, move during labor. I'm going to turn the pelvis sideways so that you can see that better. So this here is the tailbone, and it actually moves out of the way as baby comes through the pelvic outlet. When we're on our back, that is actually blocked. It can't go back for the baby's head to come through. So my recommendation is actually pushing on your side. This allows that tailbone complex to move back and baby to come out.
Thank you, Dr. Romeo. Let's look at some examples of correct positioning that is effective during this transitional stage of labor. If you don't have an epidural, you have the freedom of movement in order to find what's comfortable. In this example, you can see Dr. Romeo is leaning on a chair. This could also be the side of a hospital bed as well. You can see her feet are far apart and her knees are closer together, and this helps to open that pelvic outlet. And here you see Dr. Romeo resting on her knees, and you can see that those knees are close together and her feet are spread wide apart. While she's leaning on a chair in this picture, it could also be a hands and knees position with a birthing ball supporting your chest and taking some of the pressure off of your wrists. In this seated position seen here, Dr. Romeo could be on the side of a bed as well, or on a chair, or bouncing gently on a birthing ball. This position would be great as you're approaching 10 centimeters, but you're not quite ready to push yet. If you do have an epidural, your nurse, partner, or doula can help you into a side lying position and use a peanut ball to separate your feet. That is what the pillow here is simulating. That peanut ball between your feet allows your knees to naturally fall together. This position will allow your pelvic outlet to open easily as your baby's head and shoulders pass through. It also allows the tailbone to move backwards, easing baby's exit even more. Thank you so much for watching our fourth and final video in the Parkside OB-GYN Education's Labor Series. Dr. Romeo and I really hope that these lessons and demonstrations are beneficial and help you achieve the birth experience that you hope for.